Welcome back. In this video, we are going to look at the static underscore folder attribute in Flask. In the previous lesson, we looked at template folder. This time we'll look at the static folder. And for this, let's go ahead and create a file app.py. Now, in addition, we need to create two additional folders. One of them is the templates folder, and you know why we need this, because we are going to put the index.html files in this folder, and then we need to create the static folder. So static, and this has to be outside of this. I'm going to click outside here and then click on new folder, static, and this static folder is going to contain the styles.css file in this example. So in the app.py, we can write our code. So let's start with importing Flask. From Flask import Flask, comma, we are going to also import render template so that we can render the HTML file into the browser. Then let's initialize the app is equal to Flask, and as usual we would type index, sorry, now we would type name underscore underscore, and then we need to specify the route. So app.route, and we specify just the / for base URL, and below that is our function home, and this function simply renders the template. So return render template, and we specify the name, and this is going to be index.html. We haven't written the code in index.html yet. We'll do that in just a moment. And finally, we need to type name is equal to main, and that is because this file is going to be run directly, and inside of that we have app.run debug is equal to true. So this is our main app.py file. Then we need to write the HTML file, and so in the index.html we first tell that this is the HTML doc type, this is HTML, and then inside below this we have the HTML, so start end, then we have the head, again start end, and below the head we would have the body, and this is again start and end. Now in the head we are going to type the title. So for title, let's call this Flask static example, and then below this we are going to use the CSS file to load this. So for that we'll say link, and here here we specify rel is equal to style sheet, and then we specify href, which is equal to, and this is a specific syntax that allows Jinja 2 to evaluate the Python code and print it in HTML. So for that we are going to use double curly braces. Inside of that we are using URL underscore for method, and this method we pass in two input arguments. The first is the name of the folder, which is static. The second is the file name of the CSS file name. So file name is equal to this is style.css. So these are the two things we need to input, and after that let's come down here to the body of the text, and here we create a heading h1, which is just going to say hello from Flask, and again for this we are going to use an image. We'll put an image from the static folder, so img, and for this we again are going to use the syntax we have used before with the double curly braces. So source is equal to double curly braces, and that's in quotation marks, URL underscore for open close parenthesis, we specify the name of the folder static, and then we specify the file name, which is simply in this case logo.png. And after this, after the quotes, we are going to say altern alt, that is going to be logo, so that's the text will appear. I think if we hover on that particular image, and then width is going to be 100. So we close that with a closing angled bracket, and let's make this uppercase L for logo. So this is our HTML file, and now let's go in the CSS file. Here we say body and open close curly braces, and here essentially we are sort of putting key value pairs. So background color, so let's say background color, and we are going to use F. So let's see what they have. F0, hash F0 F0, and there you have, that's the background color. And font family, we have this here. Font family is, let's say, Arial, ARIL, Arial, and sans serif. Then we have text align, and let's align this center. Okay, so very simple CSS file, HTML file, and app.py file. We haven't used what we said this video is about, which is static underscore folder, and that would come into play right here as an input argument. So static, even if we do not have that, so default value would take that and run it. So if we said cd, let's go back, and I'm going to go into the folder which is L10, and okay, so looks like we need a forward slash, and then say ls. These are the files and folders we have: python app.py, and as you can see, this did run. And if I refresh this, there is let's say we do see the logo written, but we see the text, but we don't see the image, and likely because that image is not there in that folder, which is the case. As you can see in static, there is no image of logo, so let me put that in there. Right, so I have put the image logo.png, as you can see here in the static folder. This is the image. Now if we go back, and let's say close this, clear, and then rerun python app.py, and if we refresh this, yeah, here is the image. So everything is running fine. We get the styling of the header from the CSS, and we also are able to access the logo from the static folder. Now the default value for the static underscore folder here is static, and therefore this would run without any problems. If we rerun this python app.py, as you can see, it's the Flask would start, and we do get the logo. If we for some reason change this name from static to some other name, let's say let's call this, let's say Galaxy, something completely different. Now if I go in here and try and run python app.py, this would run, but the image is not visible, and the reason is because in here this would have to be Galaxy, the name of the folder that holds that file. And if we do that, and now we run this, the logo will show. So by default, it's a good idea to leave it as static, because that's the standard name, and Flask will by default look for a folder static to look for any JavaScript or CSS or image files. That was it for this video. I hope to see you all in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please do let me know in the comment section below. Thank you.